Hey, everybody! It's time for another wonderful edition of the Jersey Tales. So, who's all on tonight's show? Well, Jason's here,
Hello.
Con's here,
Hi.
Slilex is here,
Howdy, howdy.
and it's me, Aquino, or Red the Ram. Welcome, everybody, to the Jersey Tales. Baltimore versus the Chiefs. I'm sorry.
Baltimore
so-
beat themselves. Basically, all
They-
Kansas City did was just stay out of their way.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of find it cute that we're all hating on the Chiefs now since they became like the new era of
Patriots.
the dominant AFC team
Yeah.
that for some reason people just don't know how to beat.
Even
It's
during a
just-
bad year, like this year's just not been. I don't know. I thought the Bills were finally gonna get over the hump, but apparently they didn't. I thought the Ravens were finally gonna get over the hump, but they didn't. Like it seems like a very anemic, like boring team to watch in the Chiefs, but they just keep making like this year especially. Last year I think was a little bit different, but
I kind of want to say that I don't think that it's as bad of a team that people make it out to be, because that defense doesn't play. Like, the defense has improved significantly. Yes, the offense definitely took a step down, in my opinion, but I think this is probably the best defense that Mahomes has really had ever since he got the starting job, in my opinion, anyways.
Well, the part that drove me out, because like you hit the nail on the head when you were just sitting there when you said that Baltimore caused a lot of their problems, and they did. I mean, there's no excusing all of those penalties that they got for just being basically dumb. Is the best way to describe it. They're just stupid penalties that they really shouldn't have gotten. But at the same time, a lot of the play calling was really head scratching on Baltimore's side. They had they were averaging something like 182 yards of running from their running backs. Not Lamar, just from the running back core. They had 6 plays that they called where they handed off to the running back. I mean, it was nuts.
Well, they seem to have just gotten scared, and they're like, "Oh man, Kansas City's gonna know our run defense. They're gonna adjust that." It's like, well, and Kansas City doesn't have a good running defense.
No, they don't.
They're like middle of the pack. They're like 16th or something like that. Just keep doing that, and hey, if it doesn't work in the first half, you adjust. It just seems like they tried to beat themselves.
Plus, it's play calling, so it's not like you have to stick with the play calling through the. Like, if it doesn't work in the first quarter, it's not like you just got to stick with it until halftime. You got a whole play sheet to go off of. The defense is the one thing that usually has to retool itself more in halftime rather than the offense does. I mean, now granted, maybe you've got a terrible offensive coordinator that like has to have the guys sitting with him in the locker room going, "Your stuff's not working because of this, this, and this, and you're not listening to me." But they've got little phones on the side of the sideline over there where they can sit there and talk with the offensive coordinator.
Well, I'm not sure what the game plan was. This is the league's best running team, and they only averaged, I think, about 81 yards total, and most of that was from Lamar Jackson on 8 carries. The next rusher was Gus Edwards, who had 20 yards on 3 attempts. They got away from their identity. They transitioned from a run-first team to a pass-first team, and that's not who the Ravens are. So I think that if there's any blame to go around, it has to start with the coaching. Todd Monken's play calling was abysmal. I'm not sure what Mike McDonald was doing. The defense regressed this game, and of course, Lamar Jackson did not look like the Lamar Jackson we saw in the season. 20 of 37, 272 for 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Those aren't numbers that are going to get you to a Super Bowl. So I really think the Ravens just played themselves. They let Kansas City come in and punch them in the mouth, and they looked scared the entire game. And then, of course, you can't sleep on the fact that there were costly penalties this entire game. Zay Flowers taunting, and I don't know who the defender was, I forgot, but that Zay Flowers taunt really, screwed up that drive.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That and Zay Flowers fumbling out of the end zone when you have it on the 1 yard line. Like don't you can do whatever you want. You're a running team. You have plenty of stuff to do that. Why would you try to reach for it on that time? It's not 4th down. It's not 3rd down.
Well, I mean, my thing is, it's like again, Lamar played at Louisville, so I've watched Lamar play a lot, and then of course, he goes to Baltimore, and as an AFC North fan, I got to watch him there too, just to figure out what the heck's going on. But Lamar has this thing that he does his read one, his read two, he might get a third read in, and then he's gone. That's just kind of the way that he plays. He's got this really neat little scramble thing. Because the thing is if his option one and option two are wrapped up, then that means there's probably a giant gaping hole somewhere he can squeeze through. And by God, if his third option's gone because it's wrapped up too, it's got to be a hole the size of a mountain that he can just scramble right through. And if you go back and watch that game, he's not doing read one, read two, read three, scramble. He's doing read one, read two, read three, read four, read five, it's almost like they told him he wasn't allowed to run.
Oh, okay, I guess I'll take it. Yeah, I think that the big thing really is like, as I alluded before, I feel like that they really wanted Jackson to just rely on just his arm and not try and run unless it's like absolutely necessary. But I feel like that when we talk about the struggles with throughout that game, I'm not really sure if it's just the fact that like they weren't ready for that stage, because I feel like they were ready, but it's just like they overthink things too much in that regard, especially like doing the boneheaded like penalties that they did, especially going for trying to force things as well, like the pass in triple coverage. Like, I don't care if people want to call that like a pass interference or not, you do not throw that ball.
Now, Cy, we were talking about Lamar's numbers. Now, do you think part of the reason why his numbers look so good is because he's secretly stat padding by catching his own passes?
I mean, it's possible. But no, look, he had a great year this year. There's no denying it. And I think I get the narrative that's out there about him, not being, a running back that plays quarterback, but he's so much more than that. And the reason why he's the MVP is because he relies on not only his passing, but his legs. And
Yeah.
what Todd Monken and John Harbaugh did was criminal, not utilizing what makes Lamar so special as a quarterback. Let Lamar be Lamar. If people are going to hate because he's a dual threat quarterback or whatever the term is they're using now to describe quarterbacks who can do both, who cares? He's special for a reason.
Yeah. And not to mention the fact that like that's kind of been like the a type of quarterback that a lot of teams want to strive for is that dual threat type quarterback that can do a little bit of everything. And Lamar Jackson is like the best of them all. Like I personally consider him like the second best quarterback right now. Still, like even with all the issues that have happened within this game, I do think that like what they really need to do is pretty much utilize what the entire team is good at, which is running the ball. Because if they ran it down their throats, we'd probably be having a very different conversation.
Well, again, like I was saying, it's because he is so fast and he is so slippery that he opens up the rest of your. Like I've been saying this, I don't know. Besides, had to listen to me talk about this now for like 4 episodes. Like I've been harping on the fact that what he brings to the table offensively is that you have to have someone there who is ready to go to catch him so he just doesn't clown all over your team. I mean, when he was in college, he ran circles around a good Florida State team. It just absolutely embarrassed Florida State by just being Lamar. Because it wasn't like he had a whole lot of weapons around him. I mean, he didn't have an O-line, for God's sakes, there. He had one receiver that was pretty decent, and that was about it. And yet it still was, Lamar was putting the greatest show on turf when he was there. It's like, if you're not letting him go out there and scramble and find holes and make grown men look like idiots, because that's what he's really good at. And I say that as a Bengals fan, the number of times that he's just would just clown on a defender that was trying to grab him. Which, I mean, we saw a little bit of that, but again, it was like they were told him he wasn't allowed to leave the pocket until a certain number of scans, and that's why he was getting sacked, because he didn't even start to take off, which he had plenty of time. There were plenty of openings in there for him to take off and to squeeze through and go, but it's like they told him not to. And the only thing I can think of is that they were so worried that he'd get hurt playing against the Chiefs and they wouldn't have a shot at the Super Bowl. But then I'm like, no, it's the AFC Championship. You just go nuts. Like, if he's going to get hurt, so be it. I mean, your season is either going to the Super Bowl or it's over. Go nuts.
They know that we're going to be running the ball a lot. So what if, instead of running it, we switched it up on them and did a bunch of passing instead? They got too cute with it. Even if the defense is expecting it, sometimes even if the defense is expecting it, probably with the Chiefs' defense, given that they're bad at the run game, they're probably still not going to be able to stop you.
Like, I think Justin Tucker was just like prepping his kicks or whatever, and Mahomes was doing his own thing, and they kind of got in each other's ways. And I'm assuming that this was on the Chiefs side.
It looked like he was trying to prep his kicks into the wind, where he was trying to kick.
That's
which is like pretty common. It's not that uncommon. Like, we just run into it.
I think.
Well, no, it's not that it's not that uncommon. That's the way that Tucker warms up before every single game. He kicks a certain number of kicks to the other side, because I mean our kickers do the same thing, and so it's not like it's crazy that he's on the Chiefs side of the
standard
thing.
Yeah, it's a standard thing, but I think it's just like I feel like with like Mahomes and Kelsey, well, Mahomes in particular, since he was like kind of doing his thing and they kind of got in each other's way, is probably what caused the whole thing to be a bit of a scuffle. Not a scuffle, but kind of like what seems like a bullying situation. But it was still kind of weird. I think people overblown it because I think it's just whatever.
Yeah, they just brought it up like 6 or 7 times during the game.
It's just like, bro, it's not that big of a deal.
And the media loves conflict stories and drama.
They do.
Mahomes and Kelsey are on demon time right now. They are taking no prisoners. They do not give a crap what goes on. And you are seeing why Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. He is elevating the rest of his team with him to be competitive in games where that Chiefs offense should not be competitive. And so
it reminds me of a certain other quarterback. I can't put his name on it.
It does. It does. This team reminds me of those Brady teams, and I've said this before, of those Brady teams of old where he had no names at wide receiver and he somehow was making Super Bowls every year. So, and I'll stand by this what I'm about to say. I think if Mahomes goes out and wins this with this skeleton crew of receivers and tight ends, he's firmly in the conversation for greatest of all time. And I'll die on that. I'll die on that hill. This is what separates him from, the likes of Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen everybody else. I mean, you know what I mean. So
I guess everyone's just kind of sick of, especially in the AFC, where it's just like we just got out of the Brady era, where you have Brady leading these mediocre teams because just with his own talent, and then all of a sudden Mahomes comes in, and we have to do the same thing, and every single time your team goes up against him in the playoffs, it's really annoying.
What the Patriots accomplished should not ever be replicated again, because so many things came together to make it happen, and yet you're seeing it happen now. So I mean, it's not an indictment on the league. Well, on the product, more so it's an indictment on they have the best quarterback, they have the best run organization.
It doesn't seem like it's a healthy game when the same people go to the Super Bowl at all times, because like then we have 32 other temes. What are these other teams doing? What is everyone else doing?
I mean, I ask myself that every time I look over and see, what are the Commanders doing over there?
Lexi out here catching strays.
Yeah, I mean, it's not directed to Lexi. That was just directed to that particular organization. Now they finally started to maybe turn things around. I don't know. We'll talk about that in the future part. But like, if we're talking about quarterbacks and honestly, I think because I think this is what Mahomes has that Brady has, is that him and Reed click. Like they understand each other, they know each other's limits. I don't know what it is. Maybe they go fishing every summer or something, and they just have built this mental connection. Lamar, again, I think that his coach is holding him back. Now, does that mean I think that Harbaugh should be fired? No, I think Harbaugh should let Lamar be Lamar. Now, on the flip side, with the Bills and Josh Allen, he needs a coach that'll just be like, that was just a little too much magic. You need to bring your magic down. Like, can we just take like 10% off the top of that magic there? Oh, okay, now you're winning Super Bowls. Like that is where that coaching relationship kind of comes into play. And it just seems like those other two don't have that magic. Now, we'll find out whether or not the Bengals and Joe Burrow will have that same kind of situation going into next year, because we'll find out whether or not he still gets to do 92% of his passes behind the shotgun. But
I mean, I will say this, the AFC is probably going to be stronger next year when everybody is nice and all healthy, because like this was a very injury-riddled season as well. So we got to put that into account too, with how many quarterbacks have went down.
I think we were at 4, right? 4 starting quarterbacks that remained active at the end of the year.
Yeah, so I think that like that comes into play as well when it comes to whatever happens to the AFC Championship next year, because it won't be as easy, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mahomes did it again.
Yeah, so we're going to go to the NFC with Detroit versus the Niners. And it's a good thing we do have an Atlanta Falcons fan.
Yeah.
So when you were watching that game, did you hear like helicopters in the background and like Fortunate Son was playing?
Look, all I have to say about this game is that if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Because there's just going for it right there, like the first go round, instead of going for 3 is just absolutely, it's not mind boggling because it's Dan Campbell, but it's just like one of those situations like, bro, you are in the best situation possible. Take the points so you don't have momentum just for some reason to swing the other way, and you're just left flabbergasted, because that's exactly what happened.
I mean, in case you don't have a fluke catch off of someone's face mask.
Bro, that catch was so stupid. I'm just like, dang,
Brandon
bro.
Ayuk's good.
The football gods just said, nah, bro, we're giving it to the Niners today.
The Detroit Lions converted 75% of their 4th down conversions this season. So think about that before we judge too harshly. Now, granted, I'm still judging hard because I saw what the end score was.
It's against the Niners, though, man.
Well, I'll say this. I don't think it's analytics. Dan Campbell is a very aggressive coach.
Yes.
And he's just going to be aggressive just to be aggressive.
Yes.
Brandon Staley lives and dies by analytics, but he's also aggressive. So he can just say, I'm aggressive because of analytics. Dan Campbell does not care. He set the tone for what his team is going to be in that introductory press conference when he said, we're going to be taking kneecaps. So it wasn't a surprise to me when he did what he did during the game, and how he's doubling down on his decision to, make those plays. But again, you live by the aggressive, you die by the aggressive.
The whole analytics thing, like people kind of take that too close to heart and not just pay attention to like the momentum side of things, because like I think around that time both teams were getting stops from each other a little bit. They were like, all right, we're gonna get over to the get close, but not close enough to be able to punch it in or whatever, right? So when you're in that situation where like things are kind of evening out momentum wise, I'd rather be safe and take the points.
But that's why I brought up the kicking percentage, because it's not safe.
At the end of the day, that still got you killed. The percentages don't mean crap when it doesn't work. And they tried it twice this game in the final quarter, and they both failed. So I really don't care about the percentages. I'm talking about the momentum of the game and the flow. Because after they failed, and 49ers went down the field and scored, and they fumbled and I forgot who fumbled the ball. I think it was Gibbs that fumbled it.
Yeah.
If Gibbs fumbled that fall, then everything just went haywire at that point.
So my question is, like, hypothetically, like, okay, they go up to kick it, dink, right? Miss. Then they go the second time, kick it, dink, because again, less than 50% at that range.
Well, the cost is if you get it 25% of the time, but that's also compounded by the fact that you give them good field position. Whereas if you just, say, punted it, you pinned them in their own end zone, and you might have good field position when you get back. So it's not as clear cut as that. And I feel like if you're just looking at, 75% and, it happens, it's also, against other defenses. What is their percentage against the Niners defense or like defenses like the Niners that play the Niners scheme? That's another thing to consider. So I think that just using pure raw percentages of like what they did in the regular season and just instantly applying it here and saying, it's 3 and 4 chances of going for it. It's not really 3 and 4. It's a little bit different.
So based off of the defenses they were playing against the 49ers, the first half, those were brilliant moves because Detroit had full command of that field and could score whenever they wanted to. Yeah, like it was 24-7 going into the half.
You know what? It's so funny that I'm so sad that is not like a meme now. How it was for Atlanta, 24-7, 28-3. It's crazy.
It sucks that in that situation they shot themselves in the foot that badly.
Yeah, I mean the only thing worse than having both of these two teams in the Super Bowl would be if they like also brought in the Steelers to be the cheerleaders for
God.
the.
I'm gonna have honestly, it's a little bit of both. They made adjustments at half because they knew that the Lions were marching up and down their field at will. Like they pretty much had a stranglehold over the game in the first half, so they made the necessary adjustments. They also had balls bounced their way. They had lucky breaks as well, so you just can't discount that. And for the Lions, I think they beat themselves. Dan Campbell got too cute when it mattered, and of course, I'm always going to say you take the points. You always take the points, and the narrative could probably change, and it would change. Let's be honest. The conversation would be, "Oh, Dan Campbell is dumb if he misses those 2 field goals that he would have taken. If they missed instead of going for it." It's a shoulda, coulda, woulda situation. But in that situation, obviously, you take the points. You don't get cute with it. But
I think the first one you should have taken. The second one, I don't know.
I just think that at the end of the day, the Lions had a great season. And I know I'm petty. Yeah. I know I'm petty, but I will give credit where credit is due. The Lions had an excellent season, and this is not the last you'll see of them. This isn't one of those fluke years where they won't be back ever again. No, they'll be back. I don't know in what capacity.
I don't know if they're in a championship. It'll be interesting.
They're gonna contend for sure. They're gonna contend for sure.
Yeah. So
for at least a couple of years. Yeah. I mean,
they will.
And I would honestly, because they had no expectations of anything other than just a hope of winning a playoff game, and here they are playing for the championship game. And so, like, that is a fantastic feeling, because that's like when we just somehow ended up in the Super Bowl, and like we're just like, oh, how we got here? All right, that's fine. Like Joe Burrow got sacked 19 times. In a game. Yet
you're playing with house money at that point. It's the same thing that the Packers were doing this season. It's the same thing that you could make you make the argument the Steelers were doing, but then again, there's other caveats to that this season.
I would say the Texans as well. I'll put the
Texans definitely. Texans were definitely playing with house money. Like it's not like you're like a team like Dallas, where you go in having all these expectations, or Baltimore, where you need to have all these expectations, or Buffalo. These are teams that are looking for it all. The Detroit Lions are just kind of happy to be there, and the fact that they made it this far is still pretty good.
Yeah, because like Buffalo this year was us last year. Because like we all had just penciled in the Super Bowl, thinking that the Bengals were going to be in the Super Bowl because we went there with no O line and we went out and bought an O line. So by God, we're going to go to the Super Bowl. And then what happens? We got frogged by Mahomes.
Honestly,
Yeah, the mayor saying it was Burrowhead Stadium was, in retrospect, a bad
Poor
look.
choice. Poor choice. Poor
Yeah.
choice. Though
Honest-
statistically,
this Lions team reminds me of the Saints team in 2006. No expectations,
yes.
just happy to be there. What happens a couple of years later? They win a Super Bowl. Oh, who was on that team? Dan Campbell was on that team. I'm not
Really?
saying yes, he was on the team. I am not saying the Lions will be in the Super Bowl 2 seasons from now, but
Yeah.
but it is a strong possibility that this team is going
Yeah.
to be a contender for a long
Yeah.
time.
I
It
will
does-
say that finding out Dan Campbell was on that team and Bountygate and finding out what he says about kneecaps kind of is a little bit concerning to me. I will say.
I have a good segue from that. So did anyone see the video of CJ?
Yes,
See-
I saw that where he was waving to the crowd. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, not that one. Not that one. The one where he's running back and he's right up against it was one of their, I think it was one of their wide receivers who has a bad shoulder. And just shoulder checks that bad shoulder and makes it look like, oh, oops, like we kind of stumbled into each other.
I didn't see that, but it's par for the
Oh.
course for him. I
Well,
mean,
what was Dan Campbell on that team? Was he a?
tight end.
Oh yeah, he was playing.
And also, he's completed a very famous record because he has managed to lose in every round of the playoffs. The immaculate elimination is what they call it. So he had a 2019 loss to the Vikings in the wild card, a 2020 loss to the Bucks in the divisional, 2021 missed the playoffs, 2022 lost the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and 2023 lost the 49ers.
Oh,
You know who he reminds me of? Eli Apple, because Eli Apple ran his mouth a lot. Couldn't back it up.
Oh God.
To his
He's playing
credit,
good. He's playing good
CJ
this year.
Yeah, CJ backs it up, but come on.
I mean, the Niners came out. I think they made a fantastic halftime adjustment, but I mean, I don't know, like, because I get the numbers, and I have a feeling that I'd be sitting here criticizing Dan for not going for it, at least on the first one, which I think that would have been the easiest of the two field goals to make.
But at the end of the day, like this was a great season for Detroit, and they certainly have the tools to be able to be around in that championship window for a while. If it just really depends on what moves they make.
Dan Campbell just needs to learn how to live. He needs to learn how to laugh, and he needs to learn how to love.
Oh, great, fantastic! Dan Campbell needs to turn into like the generic
wine mom,
the generic wine
Jesus
mom
Christ.
kitchen. All right, so with all that being said, I mean, also I agree. Like they'll be back because I mean, like, what other competition is there currently in the NFC? Because there's not a lot. So there's 49ers.
you have
got
them
Detroit.
boys.
Yeah.
No.
It depends on how teams develop this year, because you never know. There's always a Lions team every year, so we got to put that into account. So.
But I think the Lions team that's coming is Green Bay.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Moving on. Predictions from last week. So I will be the
0-0.
first. Yeah, I will be because both of mine just completely torpedoed. Harbaugh screwed me on Lamar, and then Dan Campbell. I'm sitting there screaming for him to kick, and then I go and look at the numbers, and I'm like, God damn it! I probably would have done the same thing. What do you got, Con? What did you have?
I got 0-0. I was rooting against, hoping against hope that we wouldn't be able to see this matchup again, or at the very least have something interesting. But no.
And
kinda
Sigh, what did you
Disappointing.
have?
I was 1 for 1.
And because you picked the Niners over Detroit.
Yes, I did.
So you win this week. I think I won last week because I had a theory, and it turns out The numbers say my theory is completely wrong. This goes with my dark horse theory. Like the whole reason why like we keep seeing Taylor Swift is to bump up the ratings. So the Chiefs versus the Ravens. At least the numbers I saw, their peak rating was 36.2. It was 32 average, and then they had a peak of 36.2, because Fox released theirs, in the Detroit game. Did you get 56 million?
Yeah, 56 million, their highest rating since 2012.
Yeah.
Nice.
Really?
Honestly, I'm not too surprised considering that the Lions were in, and I'm pretty sure everybody was rooting for the Lions to win that game.
Well,
Yeah.
no. We've all seen the promotional material, right? It's the Lions versus the world. So the whole world just tuned in to cheer against the Lions because they totally want to see the 49ers. So Team Meteor, everyone else Team Meteor, because I'm Team Meteor. Yeah.
I am Team Usher. I'm rooting for Usher at the Super Bowl.
Oh, I'm sorry, Usher.
Usher.
Team Meteor's coming through.
Oh, I think this San Francisco team is a juggernaut, and I think the Chiefs are not that. I think the Chiefs have basically wound up here off of the incompetence of other people. You know, by Buffalo screwing up, by Miami screwing up even, and by just sheer happenstance of the Ravens screwing up. I think that they're just kind of coasted here. I think the 49ers have fought and really show that they're there to really like play to win, and it just feels like the Chiefs are just kind of there because of Taylor Swift or something. It just
There's three teams I hate. Steelers, but hey,
Mhm.
it's okay. They just the crazy-eyed guy can't hurt me anymore. At least right now. The other two, and like these are old grudges, and like people go like, "Oh my gosh, like were you around during?" I was like if I was, I might have been on a pass fire for one of them, but I didn't exist before the other one. But we've been to 3 Super Bowls. 2 of them we lost to the 49ers. So we don't really like the 49ers anyway. Like it's you know, you come out and you're in you know, you're in the bed as a kid and you got like the little mobile above it, and then you go off, you play, and there's like the exploding thing, and the exploding thing is always just an image of a 49er. You just blow it up because you hate the 49ers. Because they've cost you a Super Bowl twice. But then now there's the new rivalry, which is us in Kansas City, and I can't stand the fact that Mahomes gets another Super Bowl. So I don't want either one. I hope it ends in a tie and we go down to like the end of the tie-breaking rules, to the point to where like they are having to field individual fans from the stadium onto the field. Like it's got to be something awful for me to be happy with the results of it. You know, unless like, you know, the Goodyear blimp or something just decides to like right on top the middle of it. So you know what? I just hope that the Chiefs hate the 49ers just as much as I do. So I want the 49ers to win, I guess.
Okay. This is an anti-Shanahan household right here. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. Fuck Shanahan. We ain't gonna deal with that. We already know what he did back in 2016. He the one that screwed it up. He the one that got too cute. I ain't dealing with that. I'm going with Chiefs.
So I had to look that up. Like after you were talking, because we were watching. So just for clarification's sake, we were all watching the game together. For most of us, were watching the games together, and I had to go and was like, "Yeah, great." Like you hate Shanahan. Like why? Like I'm like pulling out my phone. I'm like, why do people hate Shanahan?
Bro, yeah, bro. Everybody in Atlanta is like anti-Shanahan.
Well,
and
okay, but why
Shanahan.
I did not know this. Why exactly is that? Is that because
So
Look,
do you want to
his
know what the
play
internet
calling-
told me, or do you
What?
want Jason's
yeah,
explanation?
go for it. Go for it. What did you find out on the interwebs?
So apparently he quit like halfway through after he was offered a job and just screwed you over completely. Because that is what the internet is telling me. Is that pretty close?
That's a fair. That's fair. I just don't like him because like he went way too cute in the end of that at the end of that second half, passing it like it's like okay, cool. Why don't you just run the ball and shoot and kick a couple of field goals and call it a freaking day? Like literally, that's all he needed to do. Even freaking Bill Belichick said that. that all you got to do is just freaking like run the ball a few times and then kick the field goal when you need to and call it a day. Like everybody knew what the game plan was supposed to be, but for some reason Shanahan, like he did in his last Super Bowl, mind you, likes to get cute and try to pass it around like I don't know what that dude's thinking around that time when it's like the biggest stage of them all. He just freaking does it for funsies and then, he just like craps to bed. But in any case, yeah, that's just like my anti-Shanahan rant. There you go.
So he must have been thrilled that like Dan didn't listen to like how to handle a big lead in the first half then.
Bro, it is what it is at this point. But yeah, anti-Shanahan household, I'm going with my homie.
Oh, I'm taking the Chiefs. I love greatness. We're gonna see greatness in 2 weeks, and I'm looking forward to having this debate over the GOAT in 2 weeks.
So there's two things. You're not going to get greatness. You're just going to get more Allstate commercials or State Farm commercials. State Farm.
That's fine. I enjoy those commercials.
Well, I enjoy them when they
the
first come
progressive
out.
ones are better, in my opinion.
It's like it's the problem with commercials, right? Because on sports, I'm great with the first 1 or 2 times maybe I see the commercial, but like by the 12th time, you better not have a freaking annoying commercial.
I don't know. Every time I see the Nuggies commercial, I do laugh. So I can't really be too mad at them. Most of the State Farm ones with Mahomes are pretty good. They're not terrible.
They're all right, but I still think the progressive ones are better. You don't even have to rely on freaking former NFL stars or current NFL stars for those.
There's always Liberty Mutual.
I mean,
I'm not a big fan of Liberty.
There was that time, where we were inseparable.
Oh my god! All right, let's just go to the next topic before I get like, oh my god.
So it looks like we're split 50-50. This is a Jersey Tales Civil War is happening right now.
Oh my lord!
No, I'm just tormenting with the Apple commercial. That's all.
I rule this day.
All right. So Super Bowl, and we got our predictions done, and coaching changes.
Yeah, Rod with DDC. He's a defensive coach.
Oh, I didn't realize he was DC.
No, like if he goes to the Eagles, I'm just gonna enjoy every second of it.
They're going to replace Matt Patricia with Rod Rivera. But man, that is like a lateral move I've ever saw one.
Dude, oh my god! All right,
I would be happy.
But I do want to say one thing. Well, I guess Jason, you probably want to talk about this because this is your team. But the one that's baffled me is the Atlanta decision. I'm not sure what's going on.
I love Raheem Morris as our next coach. I'd rather him than Bill Belichick, 100%.
Oh yeah, better than Belichick. But I feel like, I mean, knowing someone who was a Bucs fan, he's a little bit confused about it because like.
So my thing about the whole Raheem Morris thing, I really don't want to talk. I really don't think that his first coaching stint really matters as much because that was 15 years ago. Like he was 32. So like I don't think we need to harp on that too much. Plus with the fact is that looking into it, like someone did brought up a really good thread of how the ownership really did not give him any favors when it comes to at least helping him have the best opportunity to help coach that team. Because apparently they were the ones that picked his coaching staff at the time. They pretty much pushed all the veterans out of the team at the time. And we also got to put into consideration that during that first stint, which while it was bad, there was a 10-6 record out of the 3. So it's not like that he was just outright terrible. It was just a very bad situation. Not to mention the fact that like a lot of people in the not just in the media, but also former players, coaches, they all really think that Raheem deserves a head coaching job. Like that Mike Tomlin said that Raheem Morris was the greatest coach that doesn't have a head coaching job right now. And that to me really kind of says a lot to me feeling good about this hire and that things could change pretty quickly for Atlanta. I would prefer Raheem Morris because the fact that we needed a coach that had at least some that has been a head coach before, but also be able to thrive in the culture that we've been trying to make these past few years. Because that's kind of been the big thing that's been missing for Atlanta for quite a bit.
Yeah, but like with Bill, how many more games does he have to win before he's the all-time
15.
winningest?
15. That's why it's like it's like a 2 or 3 year window tops.
I know, like you get done in 2 years, maybe. But like the problem is that Bill's now gotten to like cranky old man where he only wants to coach with people that don't piss him off. And then he'll put on his little dark robe and he'll sit in his little chamber and on the Death Star or whatever, and he'll scheme. That's what Belichick needs. But unfortunately, that's not what he's going after. Instead, he's looking for a patsy. So now he's at like the Vader phase in Star Wars, where he just force chokes all of his offensive coordinators from a distance.
Yeah.
He shows up to support his brother during the playoff games, but what he's really doing is he's figuring out who on his staff he's gonna poach, because apparently he's trying to steal his brother's staff, taking bits and pieces. I mean, it's the thing, right? So he brought over the strength and conditioning coach from Michigan, which that was, I figured that was going, because that was one of the big culture shifts that was going on at Michigan. But he apparently took I think it's like the scouting group from his brother of the Ravens, and he's bringing them over into the Chargers.
I will say, hiring Harbaugh is the right situation for the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Harbaugh's going into a situation where they have a quarterback, they have a decent team around them, and as I said before, the worst thing you have to worry about is ownership. Other than that, it's a team that's ready to compete. I've always thought the Chargers were a coach away, and Staley was not the option, but I think Harbaugh definitely gets them over the hump.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's definitely one of the ones I like the most.
The dude won wherever he went. Like the Chargers are the most win now team out of all the coaching positions available by far, I would think. And like I'm pretty sure that Jim just wants a chip. Like that's probably the only thing that's left on his list of things he wants to do as a head coach. So
he got a national championship just recently, and he's hungry for more. I mean, I think that it's a good thing.
He wants the big one. He wants the big one.
He was always good when he was in San Fran.
I mean, he went there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been there. It's not like he hasn't been there, but I think that's one of the more solid ones. I definitely would like that more than if the Chargers like hired Belichick. I feel like him and Spanos would just like kill each other.
No,
it would be fun. But...
Granted, all right, let's be honest. The whole reason why Harbaugh washed out of the 49ers is because he also didn't get along with the front office. So, that's going to be an interesting dynamic, because like if they can work things out, that's going to be a scary freaking team.
Yeah, I'm pretty
sure. They have a good receiving core. They got a good everything, but
yeah, but they do. I will say they will have to, if they're going to get a chip, they got to get it within 2 years.
They also need a better defense. Is the biggest thing. Their defense needs to step it up.
Because they're gonna have a lot of cap hits, if I recall correctly, from a couple of players that makes their money all very tight and very quick. So that championship window is like now.
Is Harbaugh bringing over the DC? I can't remember.
I don't know.
I thought that was in discussions too today. There's been a lot of stuff that's been going on, because like it's relatively new. A lot of the staffing changes, because I was trying to make notes of everything. like Larry, Jason and I are just sitting here. Jason's singing a song in the background, and I'm scribbling down notes of like, okay, well, here's the percentages of the kicking efficiency of the Detroit Lions. And by the way, Harbaugh's brother. Also, by the way, if you didn't know this, apparently the big hotel that they're all going to be staying at for the Super Bowl, it's going to be the Luxor, which is going to be decorated to look like a giant
Dorito. Yeah, I heard
Dorito potato chip.
Oh.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Guess.
That is disgusting. I wish I didn't
Macro
know
doesn't
that.
try and eat that thing, I guess.
Oh.
No, I think I got it a little bit wrong, but
go ahead.
When you were talking about Raheem Morris and the Falcons, I actually meant to be talking about the most baffling hire has definitely been the Panthers with Canales.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one I meant. I got confused with the Panthers and the
That's the
Falcons.
that's the
fine.
owners are saving money, realize they've lost the draft lottery. They're just gonna wait a couple of years.
So that coaching hire seems to be like, all right, we're gonna do whatever we can to make sure that Bryce Young doesn't seem like a bust like he was in year one, because apparently, like, the dude, got credit for obviously with Baker Mayfield, but I think also
But that
this is
wasn't really
another quarterback.
Well, I mean, Tom Brady
No,
or
I don't
Jameis
think it was.
Winston.
I don't think he was there for Tom Brady. I think he came in like this year.
And it's a
for the
bizarre thing
Bucks.
because it's like he did all right, but that was mostly on Baker's accord. It wasn't really like scheming. Like he kind of was like that was the one I was mostly talking to my Bucks fan. I got a little bit confused, but that was the one that I was mostly talking to my Bucks friend that like was a little bit confused by that one. That one seems like a kind of a weird hiring. I don't know exactly what the thought process is. It's like, yeah, you're gonna take a team. It's not like the Bucks only scored 9 points against the Panthers in the last game. Like they
Okay.
weren't like this offensive juggernaut.
So looking at the previous positions that Dave Canales had, he was the offensive coordinator for the Bucks this year. Last year, he was the quarterbacks coach for Seattle.
Yep.
So I'm assuming that he basically is getting a little bit of credit for helping Geno Smith improve, but
And Russell Wilson, he said as well.
And Russell Wilson too, because he was also the passing game coordinator for the Seahawks as well. He's been the Seahawks for a while, actually, from what it looks like.
David Tepper couldn't get anyone else. No one else wants that job.
Yeah,
the
that's true.
worst job in the
Yeah,
NFL.
that's also true.
No, that's
Like,
Could you
pretty-
imagine
that's true.
David Tepper and a Bill Belichick offense? They would like strangle each other to death in the office. It would
Like-
be the best hard knocks you've ever seen in your life.
I wasn't.
Hiring the Bengals offensive coordinator. That was the weirdest head
I
coaching hire.
don't
No,
get
that's
that.
that's a good decision.
I mean, I don't, because our OC isn't the one that's doing the play calling. Like, it's weird.
I
It
mean,
went from
like
Vrabel
we've
to
seen.
him. Like you
like-
downgraded.
Well, here's the thing, right?
Well, Vrabel
'Cause
shouldn't have been
it's-
fired,
it's-
but if you're going to get someone else, I feel like it's
I
a
just-
solid choice.
Well, one at a time. So first off, like, let me just poo poo on why I don't think this is like. Yes, he has been great in the trenches for us, for like doing development and things like that. Does that make him a good head coach candidate? I don't think so, because again, Zach is still calling the plays. Now, granted, a lot of the problems have been because Zach's calling the plays, but because Zach is an offensively minded coach. So, like, I want the guy to do well, and like, he's been such a big part of the organization, and I wish him all the best, except for against us. But I could not fathom that. Like, I could understand taking our defensive coach, because that guy, he turns like he's like old school Belichick, where you just give me a pile of crap and I'll like make at least a top 5 defense or something out of it, and that's what you'll get with Lou. But our OC, a lot of that, the problems we've been having is because of what's under the OC. You got a really bad O-line coach, guys, like, and he won't fire him. So I hope you're cool with sticking with whatever hiring decisions he's made, because that's what you're going to end up with. Anyway, all right, I yield. Next.
So I will say this when it comes to the person that's never called the plays before. Stigma. We said the same thing with Matt LaFleur. He's doing well. We said the same thing with Mike McDaniels. Now I'm saying that he's not either of those coaches, but there's still an opportunity for him to do that, because we don't know what kind of mind that he has at the end of the day. So it's kind of one of the things where I don't really have much of an opinion on it, because one, it's not my team, and two, I don't know much about him. But it's just kind of one of those wait and see what they're cooking, because I think they're gonna really bank on Will Levis's development to take the next jump in year 2.
I still think firing Vrabel was probably the incorrect decision. If you want to see him, I think it's the incorrect decision. But I think that this hiring is not. I think this hiring is solid. I think there was people. I went on the Titans subreddit because I always like going on my division rivals subreddit, and they were talking about how there
You're
was
one of
rumors
those people. No. We're stopping right here. You're one of those people.
Well, I like to see what everyone else is saying, and when they said that there was rumors about Dan Quinn coming to the Titans, everyone was like, "The sky is falling. We're gonna go 0-17 next year." I hate it so much.
I love how everyone is so anti Dan Quinn. It's so funny.
They're just like, Dan Quinn is here. No. So like when they made this coaching decision, everyone was like, yeah, we don't have Dan Quinn.
So just to be fair, the Bengals subreddit has a specific thing that if they find out that you went and you posted the words "I come in peace" as a Bengals
No,
fan,
I don't come in peace to these subreddits. I go and see what the fuck people are doing.
yeah, because like it's our thing. It's like, no, you do not come in peace to the fucking you do not come in peace into a Raven subreddit. You'll get banned immediately from the Bengals subreddit because you don't come in peace into that. What are you thinking?
gosh.
Going to the
Those
Steelers.
people are the worst. I just do it to watch the chaos and see my division rivals squirm. And hopefully, I was really rooting for the Titans to hire Dan Quinn, but unfortunately, they had to make a good choice. And this is why sometimes, someone was talking about like, man, don't you want all your division rivals to be good? I think this is the Moonshine or someone. And I was like, no. All my division rivals to suck. I want to be like the king of shit mountain.
If all if everybody in this, if like all of my rivals end up being 0-16, I'd be a very happy bat. I will say that. I will say that full-heartedly.
That's why I'm so pissed about this year. Is now all my division rivals, after we had an easy peasy division the last couple of years, now suddenly they're all getting good. And I'm like, no, don't draft a division like a franchise quarterback. Stop being good.
Wait, what?
No, I think what I'm most looking at right now with the coaching vacancies that remain is to see what Washington and Seattle do. I don't know if you had asked me last week who Washington and Seattle would have taken. I would have said Ben Johnson and Dan Quinn respectively. I'm not so sure. I think it may be a situation of where Dan Quinn does end up in Seattle, but I'm not so sure about Washington. I think that they're expanding their search from the last time I checked to not just Ben Johnson. I know they're gonna interview Mike McDonald,
McDonald, yeah,
and somebody else as well.
Oh yeah, I didn't have the full list. So Anthony Weaver, Mike McDonald, Dan Quinn, Aaron Glenn, and Ben Johnson. That is currently who the Commanders are interviewing.
Again, it's going to be interesting to see who they go with, because that's obviously going to affect how they proceed when it comes to drafting, free agency, and all that. But obviously, the hot names out there are Mike McDonald and Dan Quinn. Excuse me, Mike McDonald and Ben Johnson. But yeah, as far as the other coaching changes, I mean, look, Atlanta is going to be Atlanta. I think I'm so glad you all got Raheem Morris.
I cannot wait
Congratulations.
until the regular season again, and y'all get popped in the mouth. Ooh, it's gonna be freaking
clearly.
The Saints Falcons rivalry is so good.
You are sleeping on Raheem. I'm telling you this right now. You are sleeping on Raheem.
Oh, it's
For sure.
clear.
All I'm doing is putting out like the recycling bin here, so just in case this comes back, at least we've got like the little triangle of like heat.
Well, it's clear you all weren't paying attention to when he was the coach of the Bucks. I get it.
It's 15 years ago. He was 32.
I get it. People.
15 years ago. What do you mean, bro?
I get it. People in Atlanta, probably don't have the time or energy to pay attention to history, and it's okay. Sherman, it's a good hire. It's a good hire for you all. And when you go like, what is it, 3-14, I'm gonna be sitting back. sipping my
That's gonna be your
martini,
record next
and
year.
joining. I don't know
No,
about
Yeah,
that.
they're gonna
But-
go 3-14 and win the division.
Fossils right now, my guy. You guys are freaking fossils at the moment.
And we still did better than you all this year. Imagine
But
that.
that was because of Arthur Smith. He's not here anymore.
Oh man.
We got Zach
division.
Robinson in this bitch right now. He's gonna go ahead and run through you. I mean,
All I'm saying is
throw
I'm
that out the
looking.
window.
I'm
I'm looking
all
forward to it too, my guy.
as
Ooh,
always.
I'm looking forward.
See, people don't realize.
Let's
realize.
go.
Saints Falcons is like sneakily the best rivalry in the NFL, and it's
As,
always
as,
gets
as
slept on.
evidenced by this
100%.
conversation.
And it always gets slept
100%.
on.
It's always gonna be this heated. Trust me on that one, bro.
Like the
We got
Saints,
you, brother.
the Saints can go like, what is it, 2-15? But as long as those 2 wins are against Atlanta, I'm happy. That's all that matters to me.
Look, all I have to say is, as long as we get the nice clean sweep, that's all that matters at the end of the day. Making sure that we are ahead of the Saints, which didn't happen this year. It is what it is. Arthur Smith is not going to be our freaking head coach anymore. That's done and over with. Get ready, my guy, because once we trade up and get Jaden Daniels, it's going to be over. I'm telling you, let's go.
Did
Jason
you hear
is turning
he's,
into Scooter Magruder.
I'm going for a big
all right, hold up. One at a time.
I was just saying, Jason is turning into Scooter Magruder before our eyes.
Oh, no.
Bro, I was Scooter Magruder before Scooter Magruder, homie. Let me tell you.
Oh no.
But anyways,
Ooh.
Lexi, what do you think about Dan Quinn being your next head coach?
Or the Johnson. I think the Johnsons was. But,
No, I want to hear about Dan Quinn being the Commanders' next head coach. I like chaos.
Yes, come on, Lexi, give it to us.
Quinn is going to.
I know, but what's your opinion on the coaching situation in Washington?
So, Ben Johnson is probably the worst kept secret in the NFL. Every single Washington reporter is saying Ben Johnson is going to be. It's not if, it's when he gets hired as head coach. I think they're just doing secondary just to see if he really decides to go back to Detroit. But Ben Johnson is probably the worst kept secret, and he'll probably be announced here in the next couple days now that the Lions are eliminated.
No, you sure you don't want an O-line coach? Because I got one I can give you. I'm saying.
We'll give them to you
Johnson.
for free. We'll even give you picks to take them.
Yeah. I'll give you a 3rd rounder.
I mean, you could always trade for Dennis Allen.
Look, I'm just trying to build my Christmas list because I need an O-line coach. And as soon as somebody gets dismissed that actually is decent.
The eternal suffering of a Bengals
You
fan.
need a quarterback.
I have one right now that has not gone in for a second surgery. So, in theory, the ligaments will stay attached and can still play football. Goes in
you
for a
got
second
Jake
surgery.
Browning.
He's done.
I'm done.
Well, thanks so much for tuning in into the Jersey Tales. If you enjoyed what you heard, like, comment, and subscribe, I suppose. Share it with your friends. We appreciate it because otherwise we're just talking out to the ether. So thanks so much, everybody.